Gamecock fans, JEC Shurburtt here with you. Chief Sports South Carolina YouTube channel, inside the Gamecocks podcasting stream. If you're listening to that, also on thebigspur.com, on Inside the Gamecocks, the show, though not later today. Just wanted to come around. I had a video at a podcast stream all ready to go yesterday morning to run last night. Then Rasul Faison commits. Then I got some other information, and it just got old. It's stale, so it will go in the dustbin of history. It's like those Washington Huskies national championship T-shirts that were printed before the national championship game last year that get shipped off to various lands. So that's what became of that. But I wanted to come in here and update everybody on kind of the state of things with some visitors in the portal, particularly two guys coming up this week. I think the Gamecocks first and foremost are on their way to wrapping things up with the first portal session window, I guess. I think two, maybe three more players will be in the boat before they wrap things up, get ready for spring practice. And I think they have a chance to fill most of their needs looking at it. I think when you look at the receiver position, I believe the plan is going to be to kind of see what happens in the spring and then circle back on someone, unless there's somebody that just comes out of left field, which does happen in the transfer portal these days. So we'll see what happens with that spot. I think they really like this receiving core class that they have coming in from the high school ranks, particularly guys like Malik Clark and Donovan Murph. So if you're sort of wondering why there's no receiver, I mean, they kind of shot their shot with a couple of guys. Not going to overpay for slot receivers. There's nobody like Jeremiah Smith or somebody like that. Name your top guy. I mean, there's really not even a guy out there that I think's kind of similar skill set and talent wise to like a Brian Edwards, who was a third round draft pick. Obviously, I think career receptions leader in the history of the program at South Carolina, but not a guy that you would compare to some of the top five picks and great players that have played that position through the years. A good player though, but there's not even anybody like that, in the portal. I've sort of compared Casey Concepcion, who everybody talks about and who is a good player, to a guy like Dominic Lovett, who's now at Georgia. And, you saw him catch a bunch of passes at Missouri, and Georgia, he's been sort of up and down. And Georgia, one of their big needs in the portal is receiver this year. So go figure, I thought Georgia's receivers were stacked, and we saw what happened. So, I'm fine with that. Would it have been nice to have gotten one of the guys they targeted? Sure. But like I said, the overpaying thing, it's just not going to happen, and nor should it. So that's the deal at receiver, in case you're wondering. I do think that the players left will be on defense. Terry Webb, defensive tackle, 6'3", 314 from Texas State. And then Tavian Coleman, another player from Texas State. Will they take both of those, one of those? I'm sort of leaning towards one, maybe both. At this point, I think that they would love to go and get in the game with a guy like Damon Wilson, who just left Georgia, but it looks like Ohio State's probably going to get him. If they can get him on campus, though, who knows? But they certainly add somebody like that. I think the question with D tackle is one or two. I think Webb, first guy to visit's probably the guy you circle. He's been having a tremendous visit from Galveston, Texas, the Houston area. Played really well for Texas State, 26 tackles, I think 8 solo tackles, of course, for a defensive tackle. Don't get caught up in those low numbers. A solo tackle for a defensive tackle is like a fantastic play because in most schemes, your D tackle, their job's to rush the passer, get tackles for a loss if they can on wide plays, and mainly on inside plays, inside runs. If you can make the tackle, great. That means you dominated the guy in front of you. But a lot of times they're coached to kind of get the guards off the linebackers so the linebackers can fill the gaps and make the play. That's kind of very simplistic, if I'm being honest, but that's kind of what they do is take on double teams, eat up blockers, and then let your guys that are, your leading tacklers mostly, whether it's safety or linebacker, come up and fill the void in the run game. So I like him. I think that when you look at that position, there's a lot of work to be done between now and then, mainly with getting guys that we've already talked about better. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, lots of talent, needs to get better and get ready to play. Michael Goodwine, I think when he came in to South Carolina, played more than he ever has this year. He's ready to take that next step, but can he? Nick Barrett's got to get a whole lot better. Xavier Hardy is a talented guy. He's coming from the JUCO ranks, though, and that scares you a little bit, quite frankly, these days, because junior colleges don't have the resources training-wise that you get at the college level, even the group of five and FCS level. And you have so many coming in from the portal, it's at the JUCO ranks, it's not you're not getting as much of a finished product. Whereas it used to be when your choice was JUCO players or high school players, you'd probably take the JUCO guy sometimes just to get an older guy, more physically mature. But now it's you got the portal, so you can go get transfers that are much better. But Hardy's got talent, and he's a guy South Carolina's liked for a long time. You got to get him ready to go. Obviously, there's two freshmen coming in, and Caleb Williams and Christian Ingram that have a lot of talent, but will they be ready? So one more. I mean, I'd feel better. I mean, if they got two, say they got Webb's teammate Coleman. I mean, I'm fine with that too, but that's a position where there's work to be done between now and then. I have confidence they'll be fine there, but and I think adding Terry Webb is going to be a relatively important thing if they can do it. I feel decent about it right now because, like I said, he's had a pretty good visit there. The next defensive player is Brandon Cisse. I learned how to pronounce his name in the last 48 hours. Thanks to Willie Offord, a former Gamecock. I was on 107.5 The Game and was mispronouncing it and butchering it, and he happened to be listening. He coaches at Crestwood High School in Sumter, where Cisse came from, and texted Bill Gunner and Preston Thorne and told them how to pronounce it, thankfully. So shout out to Willie. I've known him for a long time, and obviously one of the great Gamecocks as far as being a player and going to the pros, and one of those hybrid safeties that's come through this school that's been really good from Palatka, Florida, originally a Brad Scott recruit. I'm getting old, but shout out to Willie Offer for letting me know how to pronounce the guy's name. South Carolina is good at corner, I think. When you look at Miles Norwood coming in, you look at Collier coming back, Swain coming back, Emory Floyd's there. Joe Lewis Solomon is a corner, although he played nickel this past season. I think this is one of those too good not to take guys. And he's an in-state player. You don't want him going to some other school that may be on the schedule that's good. And I think he's good enough to come in and compete for a starting job. Don't get me wrong. And I think when you have guys that leave the state, and NC State, Virginia Tech do as good a job as anybody at coming into South Carolina and evaluating players that can play. And sometimes South Carolina, Clemson, whoever misses on those guys, South Carolina, though, will go take them back. And that's JT Gear is an example. JT Gear is an example of that. Defensive end. He's going to contend for a starting job next year. He got away and got to Syracuse out of Belton Honeypath, and they brought him back. So I think this is a good pickup. Also, when you start talking about corner and you can get a nice rotation going, if you're four deep, that's great, because you keep your players fresh just like every other position on the field. The defensive backs in general, the last couple of years have been playing a lot of snaps. I mean, there's not a lot of desire to take Nick Emanware, Jalon Kilgore, DQ Smith off the field. And also Judge Collier and O'Donnell Fortune this year were the starters, and then they put Swain in. So they'll rotate if they've got a guy, but they're not just going to take their great players off the field for that. But if you got four guys that can play, certainly they'll roll it. These guys can help on special teams. Like I said, he's a Sumter player. Sumter product. The Gamecocks have gotten a lot of good players out of Sumter. Obviously, Sumter High School was the Gamecocks. Thomas Sumter was the Fighting Gamecock for those that are looking for sort of a history lesson there. So it makes sense for the Gamecocks to take players out of Sumter, in my opinion. So, Terry Webb, Brandon Cisse, and there may be another guy. I think 3, 4 is the number as we wrap up the portal window A. I guess you call it the A portal window. And I think the Gamecocks have some resources that will allow them to go. And if they need to go get a player in the second window, NIL wise or whatever you want to call it, I think they'll be in good shape to do it. I think one thing Shane Beamer always says, and he said he learned it from Steve Spurrier in recruiting, stay flexible. And I think in today's era, that's positive. Stay flexible with players and stuff, and with roster limits coming and revenue sharing and a lot of all the changes with how you construct a roster in college football, flexibility to me is paramount. So that's pretty good. So keep an eye on those two players. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Terry Webb, Brandon Cisse, one D tackle, one corner. I think after Rasul Faison committed, the Gamecocks are most likely, no, it's not 100%, but as we all know, but most likely done on the offensive side for this portal window, and we'll round it out with defensive help moving forward. All right, so be sure to catch Inside the Gamecocks, the show later today with Mad Dog, Phil Mullinax, Jamie Bradford. I'm off today on Wednesdays for now as we move into the year 2025 with all the programming here on Chief Sports South Carolina. Also, do want to say that I'll be back Thursday, but wanted to add again, Brad Crawford for 24/7 Sports. He of quarterback lists and national college football content. Always a great interview with Brad. He'll be the guest today. We got Hale McGranahan from the Big Spur on Thursday coming up. Well, now we'll rejoin the show and we'll talk a little recruiting on that. So be sure to check that out. Download the Chief Sports app. Also, thebigspur.com. Use code BIGSPUR50 to get a steep discount on an annual membership if you want to pay full price, which I recommend because I finished Tiger King. I got to not call it Tiger King. That's a fundamentally different thing than Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. I'm going to tell you this right now. It's a pretty good show, on Paramount Plus. So if you pay full price for a Big Spur membership, and that's monthly or annually, I think it's $9.99 a month, you get Paramount Plus for free to enjoy all those shows, man. Landman, the new episode comes out Sunday, so that'll be good for that. So be sure to do all that good stuff to keep up with the Gamecocks right here on Chief Sports South Carolina. Also, Gamecock basketball tonight against Alabama at the CLA. I'm sure people will be talking about that all day as well. All right, JC Shurburtt signing off. Everybody have a wonderful morning. Go get that paper, all that good stuff. Enjoy your coffee, and thanks for tuning in. Holla at you soon.